What's up, my Flatland rider buddies? I am Jean-William Prévost. I run IGI Iggy BMX. I got it. I'm out here in Canada. It is an endless winter time, but today we have some sunshine. It is nice. It's kind of starting to melt, but it's really just being a cold, dreadful winter all the way to today, because it's been minus 20. I mean, 20 below freezing for the Americans out there. And so it's been quite cold this winter. So thankfully I have an indoor spot, so I can just go there, clean the floor for about an hour, sometimes more, because it's dirty and not always optimal for riding. But I have an indoor spot, and I wish everybody out there can find a place to go ride and enjoy Flatland to its fullest. And Flatland to its fullest also means riding almost every day, because you can't really get good if you don't ride every day. So I'm getting on this camera today just because my buddy Toon, you all know Pak Phum Pusa Art from Thailand, keeps a good eye on everything that is UCI, and he sent me this link that was concerning the rule changes that have been made to this October 6, 2025 rule amendments applying calendar and organization of UCI BMX Freestyle events. Memorandum. That was October or June 10th or October, anyways, in 2025. And it also says on here that the text was modified on January 1st, 2026. So that's been at least a month. So I don't know who is aware of what at this point in Flatland, and who is preparing for the next leg of international UCI competitions. But let's take a look at the changes that have taken place to bring this to your attention in case you weren't aware of the changes that had been made. I'm going to put a link below in the description so that you guys can go and you can look at it at the same time as I'm taking a look. I highlighted some stuff that they highlighted in the first place, so there's nothing that I'm adding or anything. I'm really just going to go through the changes with you guys and check what they are and see where this is headed. So to start out on point number, what does it say here? I'm not going to read the whole thing, obviously. I'm just going to go to where the things have been changed. And here we have 3 lines that have been crossed out. So it says right here, competitions in which either or both of the men elite or women elite categories are open only to invited riders shall not be registered on the UCI International BMX Freestyle calendar. So from what I understand, which is probably not what I'm supposed to understand, but what I'm understanding is that it used to be that anyways, I'm going to skip this point. I don't even think I understand it. Competitions in which either or both of the men elite or women elite categories are open only to invited riders shall not be registered. Yes. So, okay, this is what it says. It says basically that competitions in which only invited riders could take part in could not be part of the UCI International BMX Freestyle calendar. By taking that out means that they can now have invitational events in BMX, that is freestyle, park or flatland, and have it count in the UCI, which means that you can have like a contest organized by someone. Let's say 5 people are invited only, and those 5 people are the only ones that can get points on the UCI from it. Or is it just to be on the calendar? I'm not sure, because I guess if you're on the calendar you can get points. That needs to be clarified, because I don't necessarily understand exactly what that means, but it seems a little odd to me. I'm gonna jump to the next change. I'm not gonna go through everything that's already there. I mean, it's up to you guys to be aware if you're taking part in these competitions in the first place. So chapter 6, UCI BMX Freestyle competitions. First paragraph. starts with park competition. Then the second phrase says, a BMX freestyle flatland competition may be composed of the phases described below, and within each phase a number of heats. Okay, and then they have a grid that explains what the changes are, and then they start with the park competition here. So we're going to move to the flatland one, and it says here that the phases used, basically the phases used to be, we would have a qualifying, then a semifinals, and then we would have a finals, and they were all 3 minutes long, and that wouldn't budge, right? So what I'm looking at now is that let's say you have more than 16 entries. Well, if you have 3 to 4 entries, 3 to 4 riders, you have one phase, that's finals, that's it. If you have 5 to 8, you have one qualification, top 4 move to finals, and then one final run, and that's it. 9 to 15 riders, you have 2 phases, one quali, 8 riders go to finals, one finals, that's it. But now with more than 16 entries, there are 2 phases. So in qualification, you're gonna have one run, and yeah, this is explaining the phases basically. You're gonna have a qualification phase, and then you're gonna have a finals phase in which 12 people advance, right? So they've taken out the semifinals. There isn't gonna be any more semifinals in flatland, is what I'm seeing now. So we're gonna have quali and we're gonna have finals. That's the change basically. And doesn't say anything for more than 21 entries. So basically now we'll have 12 people in finals no matter what, and we used to have 8, which is cool because that's a good thing to have more people being able to advance, right? Okay, that's the one change. No more semifinals. Because I've been to these contests, and it could be long, like Thursday practice. Thursday registration. No, Wednesday registration, Thursday practice, Friday qualification, Saturday semifinals, Sunday finals. Man, it's like an endless marathon of waiting. So now they remove the semi, so you can be done on Saturday, which is pretty cool. And those that party, go party. Those that already have a ticket to go home, and then you move on you move on with your life basically, which is great. So I think that's a good change. That's positive considering. And then the next changes are, I'm on page 4 of 7 here. Flatland competition. In the final phase, scores given by all judges for each rider are averaged. The final score is the best score of the 2 runs during the final phase. Yes, so basically there's going to be 2 runs in finals now, which is new, and the best run will count, right? They start by explaining that. And then below that, in the procedure for managing the competition, they have the qualifying phase of the competition will be set in the technical guide. During the qualifying phase, each rider shall do 1 run. Each run will have a duration of between 2 and 3 minutes. So it used to be, it didn't say that it's been changed. I guess it used to say 2 and 3 minutes, but it's always been 3 minutes. And then it says that the qualifying phase of the competition will be set in the technical guide. So often the technical guide is sent, like on a World Cup, they'll send it, or they'll put it available online on the UCI calendar website, or like FEES usually does it, or the guys that are the rider managers or the management at FEES, they send it out to riders before. But that also means from the next line, each run will have, and then they say in the final phase, each rider shall do 2 runs. Each run will have a duration between 1 and 3 minutes. 1 and 3 minutes. So I know that there's like a group of European riders that were in a WhatsApp group that were talking about this. Some people were really going for like a shorter run. Some people were like still hoping to get as much time as possible. I'm one of those guys, and I'll tell you why. But 1 to 3 minutes, 1 minute is very short. Why is that short? Because, I mean, my idea is not to like spread my opinion through this video, but at the same time, I want it to be heard because I think I might be speaking for a lot of people out there. Let's say you've been practicing or you've been saving money and you want to go to one of these competitions, and then let's say you qualify last for finals, but you still made it to finals out of the 12 riders, and then they give you 2 times 1 minute to put your tricks out there. 2 times 1 minute. That is short. That is between 1 and 3 minutes. I mean, 2 times 3 minutes, that's a lot. I don't think that's better either. But I always thought the sweet spot was 2.5 minutes, because 3 minutes creates a lot of dead time in between tricks. We're not like a park rider where they have a minute and it doesn't stop. 3 minutes, you gotta breathe, because there's a lot of work. But 1 minute, and 1 minute is short. And then it goes to, it's basically one big combo, or like single tricks? I don't know. It's up to you to figure out your run. But with 1 minute, man, don't make a mistake, because that's not a lot of time. And then it says, the duration of a run for the final phase of the competition will be set in the technical guide. In case of bad weather or an unusually high number of entries, the organizer can decide to reduce the duration of a run to the minimum prior to the start of the phase in question. Like, I also understand that a shorter run is more like marketable, and they can stick that in a television box more easily, right? And which is something I've heard before. Which, by the way, Bart DeJong was our technical director for BMX Freestyle, and he is not there anymore. So if he is not there anymore, who do we go to if we have some questions? He said in our group chats that, and I mean, this information is available to anyone that's competed in UCI, because they're part of this group. So I'm not like trying to put something out there that's not out there. I mean, this has to be heard, and this has to be, digested by the riders now, because, you don't want to hear about it like just before the competition actually starts, which is often the problem with some of these competitions, man. I'll tell you the truth, because I go out there, I don't even know what the format is. You get there, like, oh yeah, here's the actual format, and you're like, yo, and you've been practicing for this for how long before I was even aware of it? Okay, I see how it is, man. I'm not even going to compete in my competition this year, so there you go, right? Because it makes no sense in the first place. But aside from that, to keep it on a positive note, what I'm trying to say here is, if there's bad weather, is what it says here. If there's bad weather or there's a lot of entries, the run may go to 1 minute. What if you've been preparing for 3 minutes? Because I don't know who the hell is changing these formats, but you need to know a long time ahead of time to be able to prepare, not only for the World Cup, not only for the World Championships. Basically you need to know, because the Pan American Championships have this format. This affects all of the competitions that are UCI branded around the world. The C1, C2, now they have a JR, which I guess is the international invited competition, where invited competition riders can get points for. It's like if you came to Urban Games and I got it UCI approved, but only the guys that I invited can get points on the UCI. And then if it mattered for a qualification to the Olympics or something, you'd be like, dude, how do I get those points, right? That's just my concern here in this particular situation. But anyways, think about it. You've been practicing for a while, and then, technical guide may also say 1 to 3 minutes. If it's raining, 1 minute. If it's not, 2.5. Maybe 3. Depends how we feel that day. I feel like that's not a great way to stabilize the efforts of a flatline rider that's trying to prepare at home. I always thought that it's good to have 3 minutes, because yes, it gives you a breather, but it also to this point, flatland is I think that the way that formats are going is in one big way is that, especially in the Japanese side of things, is that they want to create formats where we push bangers out, only the best combo, only the best trick, and only the best, try 10 times, but all we want to see is your best trick. And there are some positive aspects to that, which is pushing the sport, going in a cutting edge direction, progression just in general. But I think that there is a side of flatland that is beautiful in its dance, in its elegance, and the way we present it. And it shouldn't be about only the best trick. It should be as well about being able to express many different variations of let's say like you've come up with stuff, you know, already originality is very important. I'm happy that hopefully that's not in this document, which is the judging criteria, but like expressing a variety of original concepts. So if I'm down to 1 minute, how am I gonna have time to express a variety of original concepts? And not only is it important to do original tricks in flatland, I think it's important to develop on original technique. Like, I need time to express a certain vocabulary that I've taken time to develop, and I just don't want to base it off of me. I just see it like as a general proposition. I think that it's important to be able to express yourself in flatland. Now I feel like if it's short, it's going to be a lot more difficult to express yourself, because then you're going to have to condense it, and then you're just going to have to be able to show the best of you. But really what it's going to do is that it might make people take so much risk that it'll turn into like a skateboard competition where you don't even get to see any landed tricks for a lot of riders. And is that what we want? I don't know. Is that what I want? Probably not. I like having time to express myself, but I'm an older dude already at this point. And the guys that are coming up next, I mean, they're young and they may be more adapting to this kind of situation. What I'm trying to say is just like, wow, I've come all the way around the world to have 1 minute on the floor. That's a tough one to swallow, at least. But that's what the change says. It's not clear, it's a bit vague. I think we have to see where this will go and how it'll be managed as we head towards competitions. But now that we don't have a technical director or like a BMX freestyle director, who do we go to talk to? That's a question that I have, many people have. You know, sometimes we want information, we don't know who to go to. You know, was it better back in the days of the world circuit that was organized by just a handful of riders? I don't know. You know, there's always a level of like ownership of the information, and there's always like a later release of that information. I think it's good that everybody that's part of that competition, especially if the rider representative is still riding, for example, in these competitions, shouldn't have access to that information first if he can take advantage of that information. So this is just like, not even just an opinion. I think that's just basic justice, impartiality of the way to do things when you're looking at BMX competitions. Like, this is not a rant. Don't take this as a rant, but I think that this needs to be brought to people's attention to think about, okay, where is this headed? How can I prepare for it? And I'm telling you, like, if you need to have 1 minute prepared run and a 3 minute prepared run and something in the middle of that, then at least you'll know ahead of time, if you didn't know. So I'm bringing it to your attention. And to the next page now, I will go to the semifinals phase. It's been deleted, so that's not even there anymore, which I think is a good thing, because that was a very long weekend of competing. And now we look into competition format, and it says that it may be defined in the technical guide. It used to be saying competition guide, now it says technical guide. That's not much of a difference. BMX freestyle ranking. And then there's one last thing that they have added, which is the UCI points allocated shall remain valid until the next national championships, or for a maximum of 12 months, if no national championships are organized. Well, that's just more of a technicality about points and how they're registering them and how they keep tally of them over the years. For example, like, I think that how it works is that, let's say I went to the World Championships last year, I got second place. That gave me like, what does it say here? If you win a World Championships CM, you get 2,000 points. I got second, that's 1,700 points. So if I only went to that UCI competition last year, which I didn't, which I did maybe, well, that should be my score more or less for the 12 months from the moment I got those points, or from the moment those points are published. I would have to look into that. And the other thing they added is that there are now regional games, which I'm not sure exactly what that means. Regional games, 2 dots, international competitions, and you can get points for regional games as well. I think I have seen that there was a Red Bull competition that had been added to the UCI Flatland freestyle calendar somewhere in Luxembourg, and that's the first time I see that, like an actual sponsor name within the calendar. So basically these are the changes, and thanks to Toon for sending this to me, because it's very interesting to see, you know, rules kind of change based on the opinions probably of just a couple people. How do you keep this process democratic? I have been a proponent back in the days of, you know, having active riders, you know, even owning license. Let's say you're a rider, you own a license, right? And you're part of the French Federation in France. Well, you have your, whoever has a license, let's say would gain a vote. And let's say there are 10 registered riders in France or Canada, and out of those 10 riders, they should vote for their representative. And then that representative gets to vote on who is the world BMX Flatland representative. You know, like, I don't know why people think that's so complicated of a concept. Honestly, I think it should be more democratic. We should have someone that's out there. I'm not saying I want to do that job. I'm busy as hell. Like, I'm doing my thing, and it's great. I just, you know, I just feel like competition rules should be clear ahead of time. So here I am just bringing your attention to this as Toon did to me. And that's really all I had to say today. I just wanted to look at it. And but really, what do you think? Like, do you think this is positive, negative? I mean, there's some positive in there. Like, I think the semifinals part, getting that out of the way is a good thing. I think in a way, a little bit of a shorter run is a good thing. I wouldn't go all the way down to 1 minute, because, man, you fumble once and you just start, you know, like you start kind of losing track of time, and in a heartbeat it's over, and you've just traveled halfway across the world to not even get a second chance at. But you do get a second chance now in finals if you make it. Top 12, I mean, I like this aspect though. There's a second run in finals, which means that we see less of the guys that don't qualify. We see more of the guys that qualify, and we get to see them twice in finals. Now comes the point of how long are we going to make that run last, you know, up to the guys at the helm of these competitions. The World Cups have a contract with you. The FIS has a contract with the UCI that they're the only ones that can organize a World Cup for a while still. Maybe till next year, the year after that, I guess, probably all the way to the LA Olympics, which that is another topic. Considering that we were going to go, we were at least going to have a chance to go to the Olympics, well, through the UCI, and that was like kind of the door that opened for Flatland, and that was kind of cool for us to be able to say like, hey man, like, dude, if we do this right, we may be able to go to the Olympics. But I understood quite clearly in Saudi Arabia, in Riyadh at the last World Championships, we did have a meeting with Bart and a lot of the riders and athlete or the team managers that were there. And I honestly, I asked the most questions because I've been around this game for a long time, and I feel like I can speak up for stuff that I find is important. And my question was fundamentally, if we want to access the Olympics, because that would be an incredible positive change for Flatland, the same way it has affected parks since, like, China's built so many like, even if just China gets in the game on the Olympics for Flatland, from the moment it's announced to the moment it's in the Olympics, Flatland will just grow intensively and insanely in a very short amount of time. So that's why I think it's important. I don't necessarily think it's important in the way that, like, we should all be Olympian athletes with the discipline of, like, you know, like a boxer or whatnot. But I feel like all of those things can cohabit, and that's fine. But from what I understood in Saudi Arabia is that it wasn't looking likely that we were going to go. I was asking about 2032 in Brisbane in Australia, which is the next one after that. I couldn't get a clear answer. What I wanted was, like, give us some goalposts. Give us some goalposts so that we have something to look forwards to, so we can build some hope, as in, like, how many people do we need? How many events do we need registered in the UCI? How many girls should there be? How many countries should actively participate in the professional 15 plus elite category for us to be able to, like, have a chance at least to get to that point where we can enter the Olympics, where Flatland could, like, have a new golden era in a way, because that's kind of what we need at this point for Flatland to grow outside Japan, because Japan is doing great, but they can't do the Olympics based on one scene or one country in the world, right? So I'm just at this point thinking maybe we're not going to be going anytime soon unless some things change. And if anything, we need critical mass, and people are getting older. Most people of the generation that I grew up in riding Flatland, they all kind of either had kids or they have a job, or they're like, not many people can make money from flatland, so now they're kind of, a lot of them are just out of the picture, which took a lot of people out. When you think one person is out, that's not only one person, it's that one person and his friends that are aware of him doing these contests and taking part in flatland, and his family and his family's friends. And that's why I always said, like, one person makes a huge difference for flatland, because you have to realize how much power one person may bring to the world of BMX flatland. Like, I'm cool with BMX overall, but my focus here is flatland. Like, parks in the Olympics, street is thriving at a whole other level than we are, and flatland is just kind of like, why are we lagging behind while we were the beginning phase of BMX freestyle? We are the root of BMX freestyle. Like, if I'm wrong, correct me in the comments, but honestly, like, let's hear what you think about formats. There's so much to be said about formats, honestly. Like, this is only what I think is the most strict and structured competition formats that should be out there. They shouldn't be vague, they should be very clear, because they affect national competitions, international, they affect continentals, they affect the world championships, C1, C2, JRs. So the moment this changes, all of that changes, and it affects a lot of people. So what do you think? Y'all let me know. I hope you enjoy the channel and the stuff that we've been posting. I mean, I've been doing most of the work on that, but I really appreciate when you guys send me like a video in high resolution, and I share it on the IGI and the channel, and shit, man, like, I just love this sport so much. I just want to see it do better, right? Like, and people living good from it. Like, a lot of people I've known, they just deserve to live from flatland good, and I hope more people can do it, because that will just bring a lot more attention and love to the sport. Anyways, that's all I had to say. Thanks for sticking around, and have a good day.